deregulation, now I try to get rid of this.
Excuse me,
Okay, and then take a Q-tip.
just walk on through.
And stick it in the corner. I lay down on the floor with the key down.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
And then
Thank you.
my son's mother used to hold his mouth. So he
It's all neat in order.
and I'd be,
You already signed the checks, right?
No.
No?
Just pay with that. Did you want to let Adam do his updates?
Oh, yeah. You wanted your updates? Any updates on the Smith Road?
The schedule on that. What was the email, Jeanette? On Smith Road.
So they
I
have
know
done
they
their
were-
borings, and
Right,
they said they
correct.
turned out pretty good, right?
Yep.
All fine.
Yeah, it's not bedrock.
So they did the borings, they hit
They were out
45 feet, so that's considered practical refusal. The wetland scientist delineated the wetlands before completing the topographic survey, so we saved an additional charge for having to locate those flags. The data was collected, that phase is completed, their office is working on investigation of multiple options for the most cost-effective and constructible solution.
Yeah. I know they're out there last week doing a bunch of layout. And tripod.
Yeah.
Marketing. And stuff. Waiting for a date. That and the line's still not raised. Lovely, consolidated. Holden, Benham.
Bennett.
Yep.
I talked to him.
Yep, just waiting on consolidated to move them. And they know it's an emergency.
Mm.
That's one.
You don't have a time frame for when they're going to move them?
Nope.
How about the other roads?
They're good. Have them.
Okay.
Yep. Good as they're gonna be for now. Like I said, in the spring, they'll pick up.
Are you able to get out to other roads and fix potholes and things?
Yep. Yep.
And then I saw the response from the granting agency about the truck,
Mm-hmm.
and they mentioned that if there was another truck, they could evaluate it for emissions to see if it would qualify for a grant, similar grant, so.
Yep.
Cause I know you had talked about another used truck would be good,
Yep.
using that money.
Main thing is the standard, not an automatic. Not the look good. That and the, backhoe's up, so I'm waiting on the, proposal to swap out for the new backhoe.
That's through KR, right?
Yep.
And we just bought an excavator, right?
Correct.
So tell me about the backhoe.
What about it?
That's a lease.
It's a lease, right?
Correct.
Okay, so we're gonna get a different one to
Correct.
replace it.
Yep,
Is that-
when it's up, you swap it out, unless you wanna keep the wore out backhoe that we had, and spend tons of money trying to keep it going.
Okay, cause we just finished paying that, it was a lease to purchase, right?
Right.
We
So
have
we-
2 more payments.
Right.
This year and next year? Okay. So what we're doing is, before that's up, we're looking at swapping it out, or when it's up?
When it's time, but we're getting started, like Jeff said, hold off on that payment, because we can swap it out. Instead of finishing paying on this one, get a new one, just continue with that.
If we pay that off, we own it, is that, I mean, if we
We
make two.
could own it.
All right, then my question to you is it a lot of work that needs to be done, or is
Oh,
it
yeah,
something that can?
wore out.
It's wore out.
The pins are.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
wore out.
I didn't know.
Windows
That's why I'm
broken,
asking.
no brake, emergency brake.
Yeah, okay.
Oh yeah. If it was keepable, I'd keep it.
Right, okay.
It's one of those things.
So we're gonna get a quote for swapping it out and what the
Correct.
payments would be going forward, so then the
Correct.
board can make a decision on that.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Any word on FEMA or anything?
I just signed a paper.
That was just a
That
letter.
was just a letter I meant for them.
What type of, any word from FEMA on what?
Still waiting, money wise.
I mean, we sent things in or?
Yep.
Yep.
So we're just waiting for them
Yeah.
to acknowledge?
We have a meeting next Tuesday. We were meeting every week, we're meeting every other week. We have a meeting next Tuesday, so we'll see what happens. They've got all the costs that we have up to date.
If they show.
Who, FEMA?
Yeah.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Have they been skipping meetings?
No,
Oh,
not
okay.
at all.
Well, that's great that all our costs have been submitted. I know that's not trivial. It's a lot of work. Thank
So
you, Adam.
the Smith Road is included on that, or is that separate?
Smith Road is its own project with
project.
FEMA.
Its own project?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. That, and the, 2016's in the shop getting that transmission fixed finally.
Did Joe Diesel talk to you about, an inspection?
I know he wants to do it. He wants to get us set up, and I said, well, we gotta go through the select board to do that.
What is it
I
that
know
he
he
wants to do?
doesn't,
The inspections. He'll do the
for
fire
all the
department.
town, he
For all
can
the
get,
tank vehicles?
yeah, he can get us set up with an inspection station, and, when we need him done, he'll come in that one day or whatever he's gonna do to get them all done, and that's about it.
Okay, and who's this?
Joe Diesel.
I think he said it was like $3 a sticker if he does it.
Yeah, it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah, way cheaper.
$3 a sticker plus what we pay him, what do
For
we pay
labor.
him, per,
Right.
per hour or per inspection or
I
what?
would say per inspection
Per inspection, I think.
is how that is.
I mean, right now, we only pay for the inspection, so what would we be paying him?
Well, we pay for more than that. You gotta pay a guy to bring it and weight,
Yes.
fuel.
So do we need a motion to go with him to inspect it, or is this for next year, or what's the timing on this?
Cause he's gonna be a considered part-time, so he gets no benefits or anything. I just
Oh,
don't
we're
know
talking
how.
about employing him to do it?
Well, yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
you gotta be licensed
You
to
have to
do
be
it.
licensed to.
And he's licensed to do municipality and all that, for
Okay.
inspections. And he
Okay.
can get it set up at our shop, so you don't have to go anywhere to get them inspected. He'll have the machine and everything, stickers, he could do all the fire departments, everything that the town owns.
Okay,
So would he be doing other people?
No,
Just,
just the town.
and would he be a contractor for the town, or would he be a W-2 employee?
I would assume employee, cause he'd be doing it at the town. It's gonna be set up for the town,
Yeah.
as the town, but he's not gonna be full-time.
He's just gonna be,
Right,
Just for the-
as needed, once a year for inspections.
What is the benefit for him to do this? I'm trying to figure, that's a lot of investment on his part, getting the equipment and setting
I'm
up the
not sure.
station and,
That was his idea.
Yeah, to help
his
the
idea.
town.
so why would he be like a W-2 employee instead of a contract employee, even if his equipment is here? If he's only doing it like, a little bit once a year.
Because he's licensed, he's the only one licensed, and it's for the town.
Right, but normally it'd be a contractor relationship,
yeah, I would think so, I agree with you,
Would it?
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Not an employee. It'd be a W-9, do I have that for contractors, that tax form?
yeah, if they make
Yeah.
over so much money.
So he would be an
Okay.
independent contractor,
It's a 1099.
1098, thank you.
Okay.
He'd have to carry his own insurance, right?
Right.
correct, if he's doing that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So are we gonna
I don't
do-
even know how you can go about doing that.
Well, I think we probably need to get those details, don't we?
Right, well, yeah,
Before
Cause if he has equipment there, then it's not gonna be, if it's his equipment that
it's
he
the
owns.
state's.
Okay. So does the state cover liability and,
I don't
or
believe,
property, insurance on that?
I
If
don't believe it.
something-
I think his insurance covers it.
Yeah.
Okay, like, if whatever happened, if there's something happened at the building and,
He's willing to come to the end of the meeting.
okay,
He'll be able to answer them.
yeah.
I think that'd be a good idea.
Yeah,
And what would be
Because I
good is
don't
if he
know.
just wrote out a proposal showing what we're looking at.
yeah,
That would help me, cause obviously
Right,
other
right.
people have had conversations and I haven't, so to just know what the expectations are on both sides.
yeah, no, he mentioned it to me, I said you have to go through the selectmen, I believe, for that, and if it saves the town a lot of money, I'm all for it. If it can be done.
Yeah, and are our vehicles currently inspected?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is really for the inspections that are due next year,
From
like,
here on out, if
like
we were
next
to.
fall?
Correct.
Are those
Okay.
inspections all done at the same time, or are they spread
No,
out?
you gotta spread it out, you can do, I think, up to 3 a day.
3 a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they're close in range?
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I was just wondering for the fact, when he comes a day a year, then a month later he comes a day a year, I don't know if he would do something like that. Those are questions we'll have to ask
Right.
him when he comes in.
Yeah, just to make sure we understand what the
Right.
relationship is.
Yep.
It's always good to get those things smoothed out ahead of time.
Well, yeah, I'm sure it's all legit, not a liability or anything.
Yeah, cause we might need a COI from them, a certificate of insurance.
Yeah.
I believe he has his insurance license anyway. I want insurance because he's a self-employed,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so.
right, but we should get the documentation of that and make
Yeah.
sure that we're covered on his policy.
Yeah, you're
There's a
supposed to
standard
get that
procedure
documentation.
called a certificate of insurance.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay.
Everything getting all set for winter?
The best as I can. Yep.
You went back out and regraded some of the roads, or
Can't grade.
No.
No,
they pretty rough?
just touching them up
Yeah.
the best I can.
You want reports of any particular roads with holes in, with
Oh, I know
potholes?
where they are.
Okay,
Oh, yeah, I know where they are.
with the two new employees, how are they coming on their, CDL licenses?
They didn't do their online courses, so they weren't able to test last night. Yeah,
When's the next test?
they'll have to schedule them.
You were just too busy with the online course, with all the,
I don't know about Dudley, but
okay,
You can't make it mandatory for them that you have to do it, period.
It is mandatory,
It
but
is,
they have
yeah.
time.
I was gonna say they have a year. Well, I think Owen's got 2025.
Yeah, because we
and
spaced
Travis-
them out.
Right. Cause if they were gonna, at the time, go through the driving school, I didn't want both of them in at once.
Right.
So we spaced it out, but through this course, they were doing it after hours.
Yeah.
There's only 3 classes or 4. They had the online stuff and they didn't, complete it. I found that out. Yeah.
You got yours?
Yep.
You gonna go for your Class A Pendle?
Yep. Yeah, I figured get the B out of the way and then go to the trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to have the A.
Just pull the excavator around.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think one of them will get it by winter, so they can, cause they have to have it to drive the big plow, right?
Right. I still wouldn't put them in that truck right now.
Okay,
No. Not to go up on these mountains.
yeah,
They need more experience than just going and getting a CDL and thinking they can drive it.
but the smaller truck, with the plow, they can drive.
550, yeah.
Yeah,
You don't need a CDL for that.
okay.
Just a med car and they have them. But to send them up on the mountain with that big truck, like throwing them in the grader. No,
It's good to be
Takes
careful and
time.
teach them.
takes time.
Yep, no, that's important.
I don't want anyone getting hurt.
Good, I don't want anybody to do
No.
it either.
That's why I wanna look into, getting at least 2 to 3 uniform t-shirts and, like one of those jackets with the reflectors for winter time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
they're
it's
not,
just-
so they're always covered.
With
for the-
something reflective,
right,
that's good
for
basic
safety on the roads.
Yep,
That, and then you don't have to worry about dragging a vest around. I hate those things. That's why I buy fluorescent colored shirts.
Excuse me.
and I think we normally see, their, clothing allowance post in December, right? The boots and
Sometimes.
everything.
What's the price on UniFirst? Does it,
Well, that's what I was gonna ask around.
I don't know.
Oh.
What is it?
UniFirst? For uniforms?
I was talking to Timmy from McLeod's Spring and Chassis. There was another name. I'll have him text it to me. He said they're way cheaper than UniFirst,
Are they?
and they're better. Yeah. There's multiple companies out there that do that.
I don't know, I can check into it. Give me the other name.
Yep.
Anything else we should know about? Let's see, for the transfer station, I talked to Kyle about keeping track of, more detailed track of revenue
Yep.
that comes in, you know, by whether it's for tires or demo or
Right.
whatever. And so I drafted a sheet, and Jeanette gave it to him.
Yep.
And if he can just provide feedback, we can modify it.
Yeah, I
Uh,
saw the email.
I gave him a bunch of them today, he said that's fine, he'll use it, and he'll let us know if there's any issues.
So I didn't get copies made for you, but you can take a look at it. It's 2 pages. Tried to make it so it'd be easy for him to use.
Yeah.
He said he proposed something like this a long time ago, but
That
Was-
too, and I'll measure that tomorrow.
Toad to just keep doing what he's doing, so.
Yeah, when I talked to him, he said he's more than willing to do it, they've been doing it the way it's always been done.
Right.
So, if we can get this smoothed out this year, then we'll get a full year's worth of data starting in January.
Yep.
So that'll be good.
And I know you gotta sit down and get the, plan for vehicles and equipment.
Yeah, 'cause we will have to start working on budgets soon.
Yeah.
When I
Cause
was
I'll
in-
probably hang on to that 550, the older one, longer than we normally would, cause of having to put a new transmission in it.
Mhm.
It's a pretty good truck anyway, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. It's only got a little over 100,000.
So as I was thinking about, you know, the analysis of the transfer station that I did, and we're looking at, you know, our revenue, like for metals and things, what about the cans? Do we get any revenue for cans?
Take an awful lot of them. I know we do cash them in when we get a little stockpile.
We do, okay, and the
Yeah.
revenue comes to the town.
Last I knew, yeah.
Okay, cause I
Pretty
didn't,
sure that's how Bob did it.
cause I didn't see anything, in terms of the revenue.
I haven't gotten anything,
No.
no revenue for no aluminum
Did
cans.
you guys ask Kyle anything about that?
I
I
haven't
can
Cause
ask.
he's been running it the same way it's always been ran.
I've
I
never
didn't
seen
think to
any
look
revenue
into
for
it.
cans.
Do you know who the vendor is who takes that revenue?
I know it all goes to Littleton. Cause it used to go to Lancaster and they stopped taking it, and now it's back to Littleton.
So the cans too, along with the other recycle.
I'm pretty sure, didn't you ask that, Jeanette, why we were taking cans there?
Well,
Or-
my understanding is everything goes there.
Right, and you asked me about that.
I asked why we wouldn't turn in the cans to get the revenue ourselves, but I never got an answer.
Right.
I mean, it might be because if Littleton has to pay for other stuff that they take for us, then it compensates and, but we need to have that discussion, I think.
The only thing Littleton charges us for is
TVs
the
and
electronics.
electronics.
Right,
I would think if there was something that they had to pay to get rid of for us, that they would charge us just like they do that.
probably. Cause I just noticed that Lancaster stopped taking mixed paper.
Hmm.
Because there's not a market for it, and I think it's not pure enough,
Right.
so
Dirty.
that may come up as an issue, so we should probably look at, can we recycle tin cans and aluminum cans both
Yeah,
separately, right?
they are.
They are.
Yeah,
Okay.
they are separate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we should just find out what's happening with that.
I think the tin cans are, last I knew, were just getting dumped in a metal container.
Oh,
You mean right here?
Yeah, metal.
No, he's got big boxes of those cans.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure though,
Think
they
they
get
go-
dumped in that container. Cause anytime you look in that metal container, there's an awful lot of cans in there.
So you think that he collects the tin cans
Right,
in
when
the
he goes
building
to
and then
empty
dumps
it,
them
he
in
goes
the metal
out, dumps
bin?
it, puts it back on, brings the gate back in.
Warren is shaking his head, yes.
That's what he
You've
does.
seen it?
When he gets full inside, he just takes them out, cause
Right.
people used to bring them in the building, it seems like, so he doesn't change
That's
that.
the way it's always
If
been
it's
done.
metal, so it goes in the metal bin.
okay, so
Mhm.
those go with the metal, so we get paid for that, that's
Correct.
good. So it's just the aluminum cans that
Correct.
we're wondering about.
Yep.
So you're gonna ask him about that? About
Yeah,
the
can-
aluminum
yep.
cans? Okay.
Yep, I can.
Okay, good, and let us know.
Yep.
Now, was you gonna ask Joe Diesel about coming, or did you want Jeanette to?
I can ask him, see if he's willing to come in and sit down.
Okay.
Yep.
And see if he's got a proposal too.
Right.
So that we can look at that.
Yep.
When he comes in. And mention that we'll wanna see a buy.
Yep.
This has been helpful for me.
Eric, can we ask about under canvas and
Yeah,
communication?
so that's why he's here.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
If you have a question about that, go ahead.
Okay, so we are expecting Under Canvas to put their application for a permit or whatever, it should be coming in any time right now, and we'll
Weren't it
have-
today they were supposed to have it?
I thought it was today, yeah, and then on the first Wednesday of December is gonna be a public hearing.
Correct.
So I was just wondering, since you're here, if we could, have you been speaking to them about road improvements, or, I mean, what are your thoughts about that?
I spoke to him a little bit, but road improvements, what do you mean now?
I don't know, what road improvements do you
bit
think
wider.
need to be done?
They all should be, really.
Well,
But
instead of gonna put a campground up there,
it's just a little canvas out on a platform.
100 of them.
100 of
Right.
them, that's a lot of people though.
No, I get that.
So I guess
But
the
there's no
question-
zoning or anything
But does,
as long as they're paying their taxes like anyone else, at the end of the day, they can,
I think what she's asking is, what type of road improvements do we expect them to make so that our roads can accommodate and,
we would have to ask them
Withstand.
that.
oh,
well,
so
they're
you,
asking us.
so you haven't discussed this with them?
Not about the roads, I just said obviously there's gonna be more traffic, so I might have to grade one more extra time.
Mhm.
But I know they plan on coming in on the Blakesley side here.
Right.
We can't control where people
Okay.
go.
What,
You can't, and that's the thing.
GPS will send them wherever and they'll go
Like,
wherever.
when I brought it up to him, he's like, well, I think for us paying our taxes is fair enough
But it's
But
one.
for the
no.
roads.
The
So I
road-
weren't
Big
getting
Hill is
into
one
it with him
lane.
at that
Yeah.
moment, I was
That-
waiting for this other
that's not
meeting.
what they said to
to
us,
where-
yeah.
Oh, wow.
When is that hearing on that? When are they supposed to come in on that?
December,
6.
6th.
Or, yeah, is that the first Wednesday? Yeah.
So
Huh.
I did,
That's not what they said. when we-
yeah, I went to that site visit, since, and I talked to them about it, and they're willing to, you know, if there needs to be upgrades to the roads, they would pay for it separate for taxes, cause it's really different than, you know, by the time we get our municipal taxes, and, you know, we have to meet the county and the
Right.
school, we have barely enough to cover for, you know, routine road maintenance, additional fire EMS coverage and all of that, so it wouldn't cover for additional work on the road.
Right.
And they're willing to, I think they're willing to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the town, if that would be required.
But we would need
That-
your input on that. I
Right.
thought that they'd already discussed this with you.
No.
Huh, okay.
I believe they.
When I brought it up, a little bit of a short time that we were around each other, cause they were trying to fly out the door,
Mhm.
and I brought that up, and that's when he said, I would think our taxes would be more than fair enough.
What if you did a proposal to say what it would take
Yep.
in order to increase or do whatever we need to maintain that, or support that type of traffic, and then you hand that to them, as
Yep.
this is what's going to be required by the town.
Now, it was my understanding that they were gonna have a traffic study done. And if you have a traffic study, will that help you figure out what improvements might need to be made?
Most likely, yeah.
And how much time do you think after you have that, I know that they're on a time crunch, and so that's why I had assumed that they had already discussed some of this with you, but, so I don't know, I mean, are we talking about days, weeks, months, that you would be able to figure out whatever improvements need to be made?
I'll try the best I can, as quick as I can.
Yeah,
Before
no,
the next one,
The tractors won't be too hefty on something like that, would it?
I wouldn't think so.
We're talking about like, I think 75 to 100,
Well, we're talking
Per
about
day.
up to begin with, it'll be 40 cars a day, but they're gonna be coming in and out, multiple times, and then it will go up to 70 cars a day.
so if you figure everybody goes in and out a couple of times, that's an extra,
Right.
you know, 150 cars per day on that little dirt road.
Living up there in Blakesley, my concern is that the road isn't wide enough for two cars to be
Right.
going back and forth, and there really isn't a good pullover either. So, probably discussing the fact that the road has to get widened for that kind of
I
traffic.
think we discussed that at the meeting.
Yeah, as I said, I thought that it had already been discussed with Adam.
Yeah, cause it doesn't sound like it.
Cause when at the site visit, it sounded like they thought the road would be fine, just an extra grading, one more grading per year, but it doesn't sound like that's the
No,
case.
it's not wide enough right now for
Yeah.
two vehicles to go smoothly back and forth when you're traveling down. A lot of times I have to pull over for other cars that are coming down from above me down towards, Big Hill. So that's the concern I have, is that it's not wide enough for traffic.
Oh, we could say
Now
that
you get
about every road
landowner's
in
permission
town.
and everything.
You could, but this is the only one that we can work on.
I don't know, sounds so crazy.
Yeah, but this is the only
Every
one we can
road.
discuss. It's like, we can't have them paying for every single road in town. So would you, I know you're really busy, do you think you'll be available for the public hearing on the sixth?
Yeah, I planned on being there.
Oh, okay, great.
Oh, yeah. No, I do.
So, will the planning board bring up with them about
Widening it, yes.
widening the road? Cause that would be a major expense, and then are we gonna end
Well,
up,
yeah, you gotta get landowner permission and everything. Now
Well-
you're reaching out past us.
and it's always, it's never clear who owns like the right of way on either side of the road, whether it's a town or, you know, who has that thing. I think Terry is a good resource historically, she's looked into some of that.
Yeah.
And that would be big projects to do that.
Is there anything else you think the
Hopefully they'll
planning
get
board should be
everything.
looking at as far as that?
What's that?
Is there anything else you think that the planning board should be asking them as far as the roads are concerned?
No, it sounds like you got it covered if you're worried about the width and all that.
Well, I mean, we're worried about it, but we can't answer those questions.
What about, is there any issue with, getting off and on 135? That
Any
amount of
issue?
traffic?
And I guess there's a question about signs, but I don't know how, I mean, cause
I
they
know
will,
they mentioned about putting signs
They'd like to
up,
put
so
signs
they're
up.
not going up Big Hill or around Blakesley. They're gonna come in from here, go Chamberlain Hill to the site.
Right.
And they said they'd put as many signs up as the town wanted.
right, again, we have private property and things like that, but.
Right.
And state roads, I didn't know if we could put signs up on state roads. Okay.
You have
So
to
those are
ask
things-
the state.
We need to figure out, and also if we have a memorandum of understanding with them, we could have a list of things we want covered, such as signage and how many and where and roads.
I have a concern, this year, you're gonna have people coming in, obviously it's a place of camping, drinking, as such. Then, you know, what about the, I mean, if people are drinking and start tearing the road up, who's gonna monitor that? They start spinning the roads up.
We get that everywhere. That's
What-
everywhere. Mountain Road gets chewed apart every night from kids out there drinking and.
Why do you think there'll be a lot of drinking at this particular campground?
I'm not saying there is, there could be.
Right.
You're gonna have a
Well, sure.
various of people, and it's just a,
Yeah.
I think the price of them.
I'm not against it, don't get me wrong, I'm totally not against it.
Yeah, I think that they'll probably wanna stay there and drink, but.
Right. I don't believe that would be an issue.
Cause this is more probably a, what do I wanna say, it's not it's an
It's
expensive
500 and something.
campground, so
Yeah. They're not gonna be outrageous.
it's not gonna be like
ruckus.
young kids that are
No.
irresponsible.
Well,
or
there
nothing.
very
There
well
can
could
be.
be young.
They're
There
right,
can be.
right,
There
they
could be.
can
They're
be,
people.
can be, but
It's not a KOA.
I don't believe that would be an issue.
Everybody's will have to deal with it, work with the state police
Yep.
and the owners.
Are there anything else that the select board would like us to bring up at this meeting if y'all aren't there?
I definitely think, you know, working with the company, we should have a memorandum of understanding with these items, and there may be some others that we're not thinking of tonight, and we should articulate them.
Well, and it's kind of difficult to know what they've already considered and what they're covering until they submit,
Right.
Yes.
right? They submit their plans and their, you know, their narrative on what they're doing and where and how and what they've got covered and what they don't. Until we see that, it's kind of hard to sit here and say, make sure you cover all these 50 things, because they may have them covered or they may not.
That's
Right.
correct, yeah.
So we need the documents.
And that would also be a good mechanism to have, to make sure that Adam and Ron are in the loop on all of these things too. I mean, they said they talked to Ron, but we need to make sure it was an in-depth conversation, as I had assumed it was from talking with the company that day.
Thanks.
I don't have anything else.
I don't have anything else. I talk to Adam almost every day. I'm good.
set.
Thank you, Adam.
Yep. Sign the checks.
This, Vander Hayden surveying, that was for
Crossroads.
but where they took the,
Maintenances.
so my question would be, town has insurance, why let the insurance pay this instead of,
Wasn't the town's problem, it was the mower, and the mower shouldn't have mowed there, but Bob told him to,
and Bob is part of the town.
and the board agreed to pay it.
I know they did, but I'm asking the question, why wouldn't we have them pay for it? That's what it's there for, instead of wasting the taxpayers' money. Wouldn't that be wise?
Didn't you check with Trimax on that when the incident happened? It's been a while, so I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't know, it's been like over a year.
It just makes sense to me that you would check with the insurance first, but he has to be paid.
I can follow up with Primex regardless of whether we pay it or they pay it direct.
Right.
They'll just reimburse us, but I'll follow up with them. I think I may have asked them, but I don't remember. Permit request to use town property, it's for the fire department. For CPR training.
it?
What do you
Each
sign?
of the, this is the person's signature.
Oh, yeah, I just need one signature on it. Just looking for this. This is the Upton and Hatfield invoice from September. He made some additions. I went through and highlighted what was added. I also noticed that there was one complete day that was missing off of the new invoice. And then I had written some notes next to some others where, I don't know, I felt it was a little questionable as far as the time spent on the task, but I just wanted you guys to look at it and okay it before I cut a check for it.
So I think we need to ask them to separate out things according to what's being done. So, for
Is that on
example.
there twice?
Hmm?
That's on there twice?
No, I think they're separate, but this one has, no issues regarding HB 1221 and personnel policy. I think those are separate issues, they should be invoiced separately. And it seems like it was a lot to just exchange emails and transfer legal to them. Review and consider upcoming account concerns and issues, work on setting up file for $253. What right to know issues should we send to them?
Mike.
I don't remember we sending them any.
Mike Trudeau for legal
Oh, that's right, for the
invoices.
legal, okay. So that would be the redactions, okay. So that was a lot, $276 plus 414. Okay, we missed one, that was like 2.8 hours of telephone conference.
Just let me know. When they're done with it, I just had a question.
Yeah, he'll have to call
Yeah.
you.
I'd like to get a copy of that copy of that and the old one, so I can look back at it myself.
Sure.
Please.
So again, this one is mixing different things, which I think we really need to have them separated out. For them to review the redaction from the PPC attorney was $345.
And they redacted their own invoices. That's why I don't understand, some of those charges just seem outlandish. How, I don't know why it takes one attorney 2.5 or an hour and a half or 2 hours to review redactions that were done by an attorney already.
And again, I think we've got
That thing was on the last page.
policy, yeah, so just the
There's on
personnel.
there, it's on there multiple times, it costs like $2,500 for them to look at a personnel policy for 2 small changes.
Cause this was 2 issues, you've got HB 1221 and personnel for $550 some. And then another one for $575 for the personnel policy. 2.5 hours. What were the road agent concerns?
There weren't any
Personnel
road
policy.
agent concerns, that's what I wrote on there. There were no issues or concerns with the road agent, that was part of the personnel policy. So that's why I put a note on there, I don't,
And then that's another $322 on the personnel policy.
yep.
And then another $621 for the personnel policy? Wow. So exchange, okay, and then another email regarding road agent issues, but there haven't been any, right?
Nope.
And again, I think we need to keep the can separate from the other issues. So for 2 months, we're looking at $8,700.
Yep.
There hasn't been that much work.
No.
And we haven't had any legal issues.
What was the total that now from, the last time it was 6,400, correct, last meeting?
Right, and
What
so
is
this
it
is
now?
a combined one, I believe. Yeah, cause the other one was from 9/5, so September, and this one includes
September.
October bills.
And what was that total to?
8717.
Was the phone call thing, that everybody on the board said that nobody had a phone call, the 2.8 hours, was that, clarified?
No, it was removed from the invoice.
So it's no longer there. Interesting.
Which is very strange.
So, is there do you have the attorney's billing practice or their, schedule of fees, terms of contract?
Yes.
Is that a right to know, like, or can we just get that, so we understand how the fee is being, calculated? We could,
I mean, the fees were in the agreement.
So
The fees were in
anytime-
the fees were in the agreement, the
Yeah,
agreement would be a
so-
public document, you just have to ask for it.
Yeah, so anytime, you contract with a professional, there's like usually a billing practice, and I'm just wondering if everyone is aware of, like, if you call, generally you're already on the clock for a certain amount of time, for a certain fee. So I'm a therapist, if you call me and you're my client, even if we only talk for 2 minutes, you're billed for 15.
Right.
If we go past 15, you're billed for an hour. That's just the way it is. And most professionals have some type of billing schedule or fee. And I just wonder if everyone's aware of that, the billing practices of the attorneys that we've contracted with.
I thought on that original paper that the first 6 minutes are free if you talk to them. Wasn't it on that?
No, they
I
bill
don't
in
remember
6-minute increments, I thought is what it said.
Is that what it said?
We should review that next meeting. I still don't think this invoice is in
I don't think it's right.
I don't think it's right, and I don't think we should pay it yet.
I think I
No,
think,
there's gonna have to be some conversation somewhere to find out what the heck's going on.
well, if a professional company is removing a fee off of a bill for 2.8 hours, you should question every single thing that is on that bill as being accurate, because it is, I've never heard of an attorney removing a fee.
That's why I looked at everything closer and made notes, like, if I sent you an email at 9:22 and you responded at 9:56, why are you billing me an hour and a half? That's
Unless it's part of your billing practice, you know what I mean? If it's your contracted billing practice that you've signed, that they're going to bill for an hour and a half of any contact, then they can do that.
So, I think we should have Jeanette review the billing policy and reach out for more clarification and make sure that we have each issue billed separately on a separate line too.
Yeah, send it out to everybody, the billing policy, so we can all look at it.
Yeah.
Should have done it before everybody signed.
I don't remember any such issues with our prior attorney.
Was any of that transferred from the old legal?
The billing would not be. I mean, there were,
Because
there was,
Jeanette went and got a hold of, cause you mentioned you were gonna get a hold of the old,
There was one item on there.
legal, and you said it was gonna take a while for the stuff that Mike Trudeau wanted.
No,
there was
that's
quite a bit
completely
of
different.
money associated with redacting the invoices, having legal redact the invoices that they did.
The only invoices that Upton and Hatfield redacted were the ones from Mitchell Municipal. DTC redacted their own invoices and sent them to me, and I forwarded them to Nate,
And they charged us how much?
and they charged us $345 for that. There was an email exchange with our prior counsel. There was one open issue, she sent it to him, it was already taken care of, and he charged $253 for that. That was the first point of contact. Alright. So permit. We've got a couple tax abatements. I'll go over each one as I give them to you. So this first tax abatement is abating $269.16 from a property where a mobile home was removed, but it was not reported. And then when it was reported, we were without an assessor. So the first tax bill, or it was reported late, happened in September of '23. And it was never taken off of his property before Gary left. So the first tax bill was issued prior to DRA coming and getting everything updated in the system. So his first tax bill included taxes on that unit, which had been removed in late 2023. So I told him to pay the amount that was due. We recalculated that, and I would abate the difference of $269.16. So that's what this is. It was back up there.
So as the tax collector, you're recommending that we do abate this?
Yes, because the property was removed in 2023.
Cause there was an issue last year where,
This is that issue where he
but this
he
is resolving
argued
and
it, put in for an abatement for 2023 taxes, and we said no, because it was still in place on March 31st, 2023.
okay,
So it came off of his
so
2024.
this is of the 2024
Yes.
taxes, okay. Make a motion that we approve the request for tax abatement as presented.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
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 The second tax abatement is for the town of Dalton. It's for our deeded properties. In the assessing software, you have to go in and exclude properties from being taxed. I'm not allowed to make those changes, so we had properties that were taxed in the first tax bill, equaling $3,683. So we need to, once the tax bill is issued, the only way to get away from it is to abate it. So that's what this abatement is for, and there's backup attached.
And that's since we didn't have an assessor.
Correct.
I make a motion that we approve the abatement as described.
I'll second it. All in favor? Aye.
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 And the last one is to abate the tax bill that was issued to Ampersand in error. For the first tax bill, the amount in the assessing system was highly discounted because it still showed that we had a pilot. So the tax bills were issued for the first tax bill. Tax bills were issued for the first period, but they were wrong when we were renegotiating the pilot, so these need to be abated.
Cause we were still on, this was 2023, right?
No, that's 2024.
Okay.
That's the first issue 2024 after the pilot had ended, but was not yet renegotiated.
But I'm trying to remember the agreement that we renegotiated, and this is covered in the agreement, correct?
2024 is
Yes.
covered in the new agreement, yes.
Okay. make a motion that we approve the abatement as presented.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Here's a request to the trustees of the trust funds to withdraw $98,560 from the paving capital reserve fund. That pays for the stone for the current top coat on all the roads.
I make a motion that we approve this request to withdraw money from the paving capital reserve fund.
I'll second it. All in favor? Aye.
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 You guys signed one of the checks tonight, you probably noticed it, the other one we paid in July.
Yep.
I got meeting minutes next. I know they just went out today, but the meeting minutes from October 28th. Did you see it?
No,
Okay. Well,
I saw the,
you saw the
previous one.
public hearing
Yeah.
minutes? Okay, so, okay, we'll do that one first. So, the public hearing meeting minutes from 11/4. Here's the attachment. Which is the handout that I gave everyone at the meeting.
I make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes from the public hearing held December 4th.
I only had one problem with it. I never received the email where you stated, did I review it? I don't know if Tom did or,
No, and that was, the dates were the same, so we didn't have time to review it, so.
No, we received the email from DRA that showed the documentation needed in the process. Oh, because we received it at the meeting before we met
Before
that.
we even scheduled the meeting.
We'd received it,
I don't recall.
I don't recall it.
because I think it went straight from DRA to the whole select board.
I think so, I think it went to me and the select board.
It did go out, you're right. I apologize.
You did get the email from Jamie?
Yeah.
From Jamie Down, yeah, okay.
Oh, Jamie Dow,
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
sorry.
yeah, because it was October 21st.
And then we met on the 28th.
Yeah.
Then I needed to find out how much notice we had to give.
for
Right.
the public hearing.
Yeah.
Make a motion that we sign the, emergency minutes.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
So the meeting minutes from 10/28, sorry, it's been busy. I just got them out today. I understand you haven't seen them yet, they are kinda long, but we've gotta make it a priority to read through them and get them approved or modified or whatever, because this is where the TAN note was approved in the meeting. That's where it was voted and approved, and we have to include these meeting minutes with our information that we send to the bank, which we're planning on sending the beginning of next week, in order to make sure we have enough time because of Thanksgiving holiday to get the money before the tax payment has to be cut for the county.
Are we meeting on Monday?
It all depends on what happens with DRA and the stuff that they're working on with the school right now.
Are they finally setting the tax rate for the school?
DRA got the information on Tuesday?
What minutes are those?
Yeah, on Tuesday, because Monday was a holiday. So I talked to Jamie on Tuesday, she had gotten the information, was reviewing it and sending it to Department of Education that day. I did not hear from her yesterday, and I did not hear from her today, so tomorrow I plan on reaching out to her. I'll be coming in the afternoon, early afternoon, late morning, to see where she's sitting with it right now. These meeting minutes are from 10/28,
10/28.
So
October 28th.
hopefully they'll set the tax rate either tomorrow or Monday for the school,
Hopefully,
which means that Monday night we could work on setting our tax rate.
hopefully.
I think we need to have a working session on Monday, and then we could sign the minutes for the
Okay.
TAN.
So I sent them out today.
Okay.
But they're long. Monday's the 18th. Right, Monday's the 18th?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
So we're gonna meet at a regular time, 6:30?
If we have to, we'll meet at 6:30. I can meet earlier if you guys can.
I'm okay with earlier if you want.
Okay.
What time?
What time?
It's up to you, you're the one that has the harder time.
5?
So 5:00?
Does that work?
Works for me.
Yeah.
And if we don't get the tax rate stuff, then we'll punt.
So a reminder that DRA has educational materials about how to set the tax rate out on their website for review, 'cause it's not necessarily intuitive.
mean, for signing and that stuff.
I'm gonna shorten the agenda a little bit.
That's fine, as long as I don't have anything that needs to be addressed on it, we're good. If I do, I'll let you know.
Skip A, going to B.
Yep.
Transfer station revenue expense review, solid waste tipping fees.
So I shared with you an update, I shared with you the grid I did
Yeah.
for Adam, and then the other question I had was, about the aluminum cans and tin cans, which Adam addressed today, so those were a couple things that,
And I think
Yeah, what do
we
you
need to look into those aluminum cans, cause, you know, they're worth getting some revenue for, you know.
well, that's where
And I like how you
Yeah.
drew that out, that was good. But I also, with the idea of, Mel Carberry not weighing in on everything, I still think that, there's, due diligence to, make a motion to have Casella send us a contract on what they will be doing.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Discussion first.
I still disagree, I think that we're just, we're looking at Bethlehem closing. We've, had a good relationship with Carberry, and I think that we should continue using Carberry. I think there are still some questions in terms of, the transition.
Who's gonna take our stuff to Casella?
He'll still be at it.
So who's gonna take our stuff to Casella after January 1st?
We're gonna have to be at it.
Nope. That's on the list down in new business, waste disposal trucking.
Did he quit?
Beatty is quitting. He won't be doing any waste hauling effective December 31st.
Okay,
Or
well,
effective January 1st, I should say. So I received that letter, there's a copy of it here. We did receive a quote from Norman Dow Trucking, who trucks to Carberry.
So the trucking's an issue no matter which way it goes.
Will Norman Doe truck to, NCES?
I do not know.
So he does note that we could reduce our costs by going with a 40-yard container instead of a 30-yard container.
Adam was gonna measure our spaces to see if it could accommodate the 40-yard box.
Okay, cause I didn't know if it could, okay.
And who's this that sent the proposal out?
Norman Dow?
He's the one that's been helping on the road, right?
Barry Nemando.
Barry.
Norman Dow.
Well, that's what it's called.
It's called Nemando.
No,
how you
that's not
pronounce
what
it.
he said.
What's his name?
Barry Nemando.
Amanda.
Namando?
Yeah. Cause his sister's Kelly.
Oh, his name's Barry.
Mm.
Quite a character. Yeah.
And he speaks highly of Carberry.
May I?
You wanna hold your question?
What's that?
You wanna hold your question?
I'd like to before you move, please.
Okay.
Just ask it. I'm just curious, so when you do switch then, do we have, information on where we would ship our trash to if this isn't open yet, and how much that would be. Where's the next facility then? Because we already know there's gonna be a gap year of about a year or two. Do we know how much that's gonna be to ship the
Same.
trucking?
So the question, but I think actually you raise a good point, because if the Bethlehem facility is closed,
Right.
because as I recall, Casella said that they would, if we shipped it to Bethlehem, they would take care of shipping it somewhere else at their cost, but if Bethlehem's closed, so they can't receive anything there.
Right, so then where, are we
So where
shipping
would
it to
we-
one of
where
their
would we
other
take it?
facilities?
Hmm?
And are they shipping it to one of their other facilities then? And then do we pay the trucking fee?
I
Or-
think when they were here, that they said that they would be responsible up to 2029.
I don't
I don't
recall
remember
that.
him saying that.
I don't
But-
remember 2029.
But anyways, with the contract, we'll be able to see that, you know, so.
I do believe they did mention that they could cover any excess in between, so if it was a year or two, it could still go.
Yeah, but does that cover trucking fee though? Or are we responsible for the trucking fee
I
as?
understand what you're asking.
I wasn't asking you, but okay. Are we being charged for the trucking fee for the extended, distance?
I don't believe so.
Okay, can we make sure that that's addressed there? That would be great.
If I can add just to Mandy's, to provide some information for Mandy's question, Casella came in and talked about receiving our trash and recycling. There was nothing included in there about trucking. So I would assume, and I'm not sure, but I would assume that if we had to truck our trash to a further distance, that we would pay that further distance. It wouldn't just be like we were taking it 6 or 8 miles or whatever it is to NCES.
Alright,
But Casella can't answer that question because Casella doesn't have the contract for trucking. So
okay. I think it's just
And-
something you need
and
to look at.
it's
that's all.
something good to know all of the details before jumping in, yeah, but,
Because even if they said they would truck it someplace else,
and receive it there for the same
Right,
fee
that
that we
I
were paying
understand.
at Bethlehem.
the
He did
question
say
is,
that.
if Bethlehem's closed, can they still receive it there? Because if they can't receive it there, then, you know, how would
Yeah.
how would that work in terms of facilitating it?
Right,
Yeah.
it's a question.
I'm sorry, can you speak up a little bit?
She
Rob?
can't, she,
Okay, I'm sorry.
she
No.
said it's a question for them, that
Okay.
we should
Okay,
ask
thank you.
them so that they can give an answer.
Yeah.
It's all right, she
I'm
didn't.
sorry,
yeah.
my hearing is just such that I struggle.
And those questions need to be asked, but we can move on the contract, and we don't, you know, if it turns upside down, we don't have to sign it either, so, I mean,
Yeah.
so.
I mean, I think the key question is whether Normando would be able to, would truck it there.
But as for what I see right now, it would be, being as close it is, it would be a fairly good savings for the town of Dalton.
But we have a severe risk we talked about, in that right now we have a place at Carver, and they will continue taking our trash indefinitely. If we move away from Carberry and then we wanna go back there, then they may not be able to accept us. And we don't know what's gonna happen with the Granite State landfill, so I think it's more of a risk than we
Well, we
should
don't
take
know with them
now.
either, cause they didn't wanna weigh in on the question, so, anyways, I respect your opinion on it.
So you're making, sorry, if I can just ask for clarification here, so you're making the decision based on the fact that Carberry didn't come here?
No, we're making a decision on the savings for the town of Dalton.
But there really isn't savings because they're gonna be charging us for recycling.
Can I ask what the savings are? You keep saying there's significant savings. What are the savings? What are we paying now? What are we gonna be saving if we go to Bethlehem?
I don't have it in front of me, Carberry, but Carberry is 86.
Carberry is $72 a ton for municipal solid waste and construction. Casella wants to charge us, I think it's $55 or $56 a ton for municipal waste and construction debris, and $36 or $38 a ton for recycling, plus $19 for every mattress, with a 5% or more increase every year. Every year? Every 2 years, every year.
Every year, and that's at least 5%, and if the consumer price index for trash disposal goes up more than 5%, it would be the higher number. So it'd be a minimum of 5%.
Does Carberry's go up?
Carberry's goes up, but it goes up $2 or $3 a ton. They are evaluating whether they will go up right now, but there has been no decision made as of yet. As of 2 or 3 weeks ago when I spoke with the director.
And I a few weeks ago, I did kind of a back of the envelope calculation, and, you know, we're talking about maybe saving.
No, I don't.
Until Monday?
But we can do it, if you wanna take and call them to find those questions out, then we
I
can,
wanna find out about the trucking that she brought up.
okay?
Have y'all done a cost estimate either way? I mean,
So I did do, I'm just trying to
Yeah,
pull up my
like the-
numbers,
yeah, but you did a back of an envelope. It seems like.
Like an actual analysis so that you can
I
say
did,
to the town.
I did an
Yeah.
analysis, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna
Oh.
say it's etched in stone.
Right,
But,
When
But
she
I mean-
says back of the envelope, she's saying a rough estimate.
But have they, has
and,
the rest of
and
the select board
it's,
seen it?
you know, I'm thinking it was like 1,500, 2,000 a year, you know, about 135 per month or something, is what I'm recalling, but I haven't looked at those numbers for 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay, I guess based
I-
on another select board meeting that we had, it's just, we just wanna make sure that you guys are doing the proper due diligence before you make a decision.
And unfortunately,
And with the trucking proposal that we just received today, stating that we could increase to 40-yard dumpsters, that would decrease the amount of times that it would have to go, that would make a difference. It wouldn't make a difference in the amount that Carberry receives, because your tonnage would go up with a bigger dumpster. However, it would make a difference in your transportation costs and the amount of times you take a dumpster. So you save on your transportation, but not necessarily your trash.
Yeah, as I said, I just wanna make sure you guys are doing this and doing these calculations. That's the most important thing, not just going, well, I think this, or I think that. I mean,
And contemplating the risk.
yeah, it wasn't, and I'm sorry, it's not pulling it up from my,
I'm just saying,
That's
before you
a
guys
real-
make a decision, please.
yes, I will bring those numbers,
Are you,
because
are you calling, Casella to find out those, questions?
So what questions are we asking Casella?
The, thought of the trucking fee,
Trucking fee for,
Will they compensate the farther distance if we need to go to another facility? And where would that facility be?
and the logistics if Bethlehem is closed, where would be, you know, if they're agreeing that they would take the trash once we get it to Bethlehem, if Bethlehem's closed, we can't accept it, how does that work?
and then someone asked if Barry can truck to Bethlehem? Is that one of the questions being asked?
Right. I'm looking at his agreement, and I know there's at least one typo, cause he's got the town of Lancaster instead of the town of Dalton.
He was trying to get it to me fast.
Do you want me to mark up this?
Yeah, mark it up.
Okay. So we won't be able to sign it tonight. And he also talks about,
I would
the
think you
waste
could
that-
probably cross it off and still sign it if that's what you wanted to do, but
That's true, well, yeah, that's true.
he also talks about what, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
Acceptable waste shall be within provisions and definitions of the Mount Carberry landfill.
So then what happens if it's not Mount Carberry?
Well, that's what I don't know, that's why I'm highlighting that.
Okay.
This is
That's
the
what we're
agreement he
asking,
gave us.
yeah.
And one of the questions we asked earlier was, would he truck to Bethlehem? Cause he has, the scope is, to Mount Carberry. And he reserves the right to revisit this agreement if the disposal site, scope of work, facility site, or disposal site changes.
Thank you.
And the container rentals are for the larger size container?
Yes. I stand corrected, Casella is charging $32 a ton, not 36 or 38 for the recycling. I have a copy of it here if you wanna see it, I think it's also on the website.
And I know when I did my analysis of the cost comparison, I had to make assumptions because we don't have, we don't know how much recycling we have. So Littleton is going to weigh our recycling for the next couple of times and we could make an estimate based on that. So that's why I'm hesitant to throw out numbers because I did have some assumptions.
As far as recyclables go, even Carberry, I mean, if we start sending it over there, they're gonna charge as well. But we're not sending it there, and we're continuing sending our recyclables to Littleton. So that doesn't change anything with the numbers.
Unless Casella is expecting that to be part of the agreement, is that we send
No.
all of our waste to them.
I don't know, doesn't say anything here. It does say that in here. All recycling collected locally will be delivered to the NCES transfer station and transferred to Casella's Rutland, Vermont MRF for final processing.
And that means we lose out on the metals that we're selling, and if we start obtaining revenue for cans as well.
We should ask him what he would charge if he's going to Bethlehem as well on his charges per load.
You're talking about Barry?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have that on here to ask.
Is that set in stone, or can you ask them if you have to give them the metal and the cans, things we make money on?
I'm sure we can ask.
I mean, it doesn't hurt to ask, right? Yeah, cause I don't
So
think
you-
anything's been signed.
Adding that to your questions, Eric.
Yeah.
If they could respond in writing, that would be good.
Yeah,
I can always send the questions in writing too, and
If you
copy the
want-
board,
If you wanna do that, you can.
copy the board and ask them to respond in writing.
I think that would be best.
I just wanna make sure I have everything.
Okay.
I have that if NC NCS is, will Casella compensate our fee for further trucking it to a further distance once any NCES closes? If GSL is not open. If NCES is closed, how do they accept the trash to send it elsewhere if there's no one there to accept it? Can we choose our own trucking company to truck to NCES? Does Casella's proposal include waste and recycling, or can we do recycling elsewhere?
And then you're going to ask Normando about
Correct.
trucking.
Does, Casella do any trucking, or would they do any trucking?
No, they recently, like with Littleton, they raised their rates exponentially with trucking last year. I don't think we want to go there.
I was just curious on that,
Yeah.
pricing, that's all.
I'm not sure.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they
Do you
have
want me to
really
ask?
They don't know that.
Yeah, why not? They get
Fucking
hurt.
stupid, aren't they?
If they would, they may not want to. I don't know.
Okay.
Health STDs, LTD, life insurance.
Did you skip over something?
Skipped over point of view.
Excuse me, are we still on the topic of Casella?
We were moving on, what do you need?
Okay. I got this letter.
Well, hold on, I guess he should be
Oh,
addressing
oh,
you,
sorry.
not me, I shouldn't be answering. Eric should
Can we
be,
still?
sorry.
Okay. Well, I got this letter from Casella. Maybe you guys got it too?
Yep.
It was a proposal to give the town millions of dollars, over $2 million, and for the town, if they open up their landfill. Has anybody investigated this?
This is,
This proposal?
they've presented this multiple times, yes.
Have the
Yeah,
town?
that's been, but there's a process, we can't just jump into it. And I think Eric's gonna be talking on that anyways, about the negotiation part. We gotta talk to legal and all that stuff.
Have we done anything on this?
They're working,
Working on it.
we're working on it.
We are,
so,
oh, okay. Thank you.
Where are we now?
E.
So I emailed this after our last meeting per Tom's request. We need to make decisions as far as changes. I'm required to send those changes in tomorrow.
And this just has the standard increase that it's going up for the health insurance.
Correct.
So, you really don't have an option.
Yeah, that's just, those are the benefits we currently have. There's an increase in the health insurance, a decrease in the life and disability insurance, and that's it.
I make a motion that we approve our, insurance policy with Health Trust for the coming year.
I'll second it. All in favor? Aye.
Aye. signature on this?
I don't think so, I think there's just signatures if there's changes, isn't it?
Agreement authorization, I think we do have to sign that, the agreement and authorization.
I think we need to go back to Casella and we need to rescind the motion. There was a motion and there was a second and then there was discussion and then it was discussed that we were not going to do that. And we were gonna,
Wasn't voted on, was it?
yeah, but there was still a motion and a second.
But if it wasn't voted on, then I think
We
there's,
don't have to do anything?
I don't know, there's no action, right?
No action.
Just making sure. Okay.
Do we have an agreement for the property and liability insurance?
No. Nope, I don't have any agreement yet, it was just the renewal, the renewal proposal that came out.
HCA negotiations, reimbursement letter.
We don't wanna recap the election?
F. F.
Yeah, but
Well, I think it's important to recap the election. Kathy, you're the,
Yeah.
I mean, that's my opinion, I'm sorry. It's important to talk about, I think.
So, in regards to the election, we, now have 738 voters. With all the changes, there was a change of 84 to 90 changes to the checklist regarding new voter registrations, transfers, people that moved out of town, et cetera, et cetera. 621 ballots were cast, and basically 84.15% of the registered voters voted. From what I've got, that is probably the highest record we've had for the town, possibly during COVID in 2020. There might have been more, I'd have to go back and look at the numbers. Most of that is completed. It's now in the stage of recording all of the actual people that had voted, and that should be wrapped up by the end of this week. So,
How many new voters you say?
new, it's a combination of new and transfers in was about 56.
Wow.
Grand total of changes to the checklist were between 84 and 90. Those are, people, moved to a different place in town, name changes due to marriage, et cetera.
how many new voters were there?
59, I
59?
thought. We had 59 new registrations.
56.
Oh.
Yeah,
At the end of the day, there was 56. And that is because some of the people that had to register were actually voters that failed to respond to our previous 30-day letters.
Oh.
So they were just
Re-registered.
re-registered,
Gotcha.
So that's
so a lot of work,
Yeah.
yeah.
And the
It seemed to
process
go very
was
smoothly and very
smooth.
well, so I want to thank all of the election officials, from our town clerk, our supervisor, the checklist, and everybody who volunteered.
And there are now new law changes that have gone into effect. Affidavits are no longer a part of any of the process. And there are new voter registration forms that will be used moving forward. And all the previous documentations, Jeanette and I were seeing to them being removed and destroyed, not to be used. So,
Question for you?
Yeah, I put in a request for the updated checklist, ballot, whatever, and from the last election, and I'm just kinda curious when I'll be seeing that.
Did you send it to me? I didn't get an email from you.
Okay, I'll send it again.
Did you send it to the town clerk email?
Tax collector, 'cause that's where I was instructed to send it. Was it town clerk,
Town-
whatever?
no.
I didn't get an email from you requesting a list at all.
Okay, I know I sent it, but I'll send it again.
Yeah, town clerk is where it should go.
Actually, it was a forward from Kathy's email.
yeah, I can't respond to anything to my personal email because it's town business.
Right, you've
It's
done it
supposed to
before,
go
but that's
towards
okay.
the town's website has the, form you can just quickly fill in and make your requests, so that it goes through the official documentation.
Or just send it to the town clerk email.
Yeah.
I'll send it again. That's fine.
Actually went pretty good with them new papers that Jane made.
Everything went really
Smooth.
well. It was, yeah.
In terms of county, yep.
And you got to leave early.
I stayed until everything was reconciled and adopted.
One additional piece that's helped to make it possible is one of the microcomputers that we got from the court system when they were dissolving all of the materials that they were no longer using, was used in the process. That made it quicker because they were able to look up the voters that were coming in as transfers and be able to confirm that they were already New Hampshire voters. And so that reduced a lot of the paperwork that otherwise would have had to be done. So, and that's something we're moving forward and having, and actually have them set up for doing all of the scanning and everything for the future.
Thank you.
Where was I?
HCA.
HCA negotiation reimbursement letter?
So that,
We need to do the general assessing contract. It's
Oh, that's,
I know I have it as the reval proposal, but that's what it came across as in the email, but you guys voted to move forward with getting the contract document for the general assessing for 2025 through 2028, and it was decided that we would discuss and consider what reval.
what was his name again?
His name is Richard Dorset. This gentleman's name is Richard Dorset.
what's the firm's name?
KRT appraisal. So here is the contract document. I did request 2 modifications and he approved those modifications. One was, in their scope of services, they had that they would work with the town to perform field inspections, collect data for all properties, with active building permits, et cetera, et cetera. I changed that to be, work with the town to perform field inspections and to collect data for all properties with active building status, including assessment and pickup of all newly created lots by deed or subdivision. They also had sales review to include interior, exterior inspections, reviewing sales questionnaires, and in interviewing homeowners. I added that, I added the annual PA 28 inventory forms to be part of their process since we still use those. They were fine with adding those too. So I just need you guys to look at it. You don't need to sign it because DRA has to approve it before you guys sign it.
So have those changes already been
They
made?
are already in there. Yep, he responded right away and said they were fine, so that document has them incorporated already.
Can you send that, through email to us?
Sure.
Thank you.
So we don't, because we already approved going forward with this, we don't need to,
Right,
Got
this
any
is
action
just
now?
you guys okaying the contract. There wasn't anything else in there that I thought needed to be changed. It was for the dollar amount that we agreed. They'll come in on the first Wednesday, I think, of every month is what they said. So, yeah.
the terms are standard terms.
It's pretty, yeah, it's what's always been approved by DRA previously, and it's, yeah. The reval contract will probably be a little bit different, just because it's a lot more work and it's a lot more money, so.
We've already approved that, right? Or are we gonna make a motion to approve it?
You should probably make a motion to approve it, that you're okay with the contract, but we don't sign it until DRA gives their approval.
I'll make a motion to approve the letter.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Go ahead.
Now can we go to the HCA?
Yep.
Negotiation reimbursement letter?
Yep. Go ahead.
Have you got, you reached out to him yet?
Yes.
Can I have a response from him?
I just got it today at 3 something. So, this is what Casella sent. I have not had a chance to send it to Nate for him to review and okay, but I would assume that would be the next step. I just literally got it right before the meeting.
So I'm noticing it says the company will reimburse the town of Dalton legal expenses, including expert consultants hired by the town of Dalton's legal counsel in connection with review and advice concerning the HCA proposal up to $25,000. However, for example, if we hire an assessment, or if we hire Skipsy and Susie to do the negotiation, we would do that directly, we wouldn't do it through legal counsel, so I think that paragraph needs to be modified.
No, I don't, I'm against, San Souci. San Souci does, electricity, that type of thing, and that's not his qualification. So I think if we're gonna be looking for a negotiator, it needs to be a professional one and done through, we'll talk to legal and see what they have to say about it.
San Souci has negotiated HCA's, that's why he said he would help us.
It doesn't matter, I still, my feeling, I don't think he should.
Well, I think we want to leave it open when we need, before we even start negotiating, we need to have,
And that's why we,
An
I'm
assessment.
sorry, go ahead, I'm interrupting.
so I don't know who would do that level of an assessment other than San Souci.
And that's where you start talking to legal, we'll find out.
But
To do
how
that.
much experience does legal have with a host community agreement for a landfill in this project? I mean, this is a company that does legal for small towns in southern New Hampshire. I mean, I don't think they have that experience and expertise.
And I don't believe, that San Souci has that either, that's,
Well, I think if San Souci doesn't, he'll be honest with us and tell us and recommend somebody who could. But I mean, I'm saying, for example, San Souci, it could be another firm, but I think we want to be able to hire consultants independent of legal. Especially
didn't-
given the way that legal is invoicing us, I'm not comfortable having legal hire consultants that are
well,
gonna
we didn't even,
work for the
we didn't
town.
even ask, Casella if they would even pay for negotiation. If they're paying for negotiation, we need to let that happen instead of burdening the town with the finances of that.
That's what their letter stated, that, and this agreement is being provided at the request of our attorney because they said that a letter was not legally binding for them to reimburse us for those fees, the legal fees for the negotiation of the HCA. That's how this agreement came about. Because Casella said that they would pay for that. But our attorney said that a letter was not sufficient and legally binding.
So they'll have to add that in there with the contract, is what's gonna have to happen, which we will talk, we need to talk to, the attorney and Casella, have them together. We could have another meeting and find out about all this stuff.
No, with negotiating, like an agreement like this, normally you can just, I mean, making changes is an administrative matter that I think we recommend the changes, we can have our legal counsel review it and see if there are any other changes, and then we send it to Casella. It doesn't require a meeting between our attorney and Casella by any means.
But the negotiation part starts, and the legal's gonna be involved in all this.
Well, we're gonna,
I believe what the attorney said, never mind. I believe that the negotiation happens and then the attorney reviews it for final legality. That is because the attorney doesn't do negotiations on stuff like this. That's why you have someone who is experienced in doing the negotiations. The attorney just reviews it before it's signed to make sure that it's legally binding.
I don't think so.
well, we can, I mean, this right now is just so that we can move forward. And I feel strongly that if we're hiring expert consultants, we should be able to hire them directly, not through legal. And then it also says that in the next paragraph, the town shall present requests for reimbursement to the company in the form of a summary invoice prepared by the town's legal counsel, which shall indicate the service invoice center for review and advice concerning the HCA proposal. That's fine, but we also need to be able to supply invoices for other consultants that the town may need to hire in this process.
No, I don't wanna burden the town with that extra cost. Why would we? Why would we
We're
burden?
asking for costs that'll be reimbursed by Casella.
Exactly, that's why that we need to go through and
But-
ask those questions.
But we need to be able to submit documentation for reimbursement to Casella.
Mhm.
It doesn't need to go through our attorney. Look at what our attorney is charging, that's gonna cost us an arm and a leg. If go
We
through
haven't
our attorney.
checked any of this out yet. We don't know.
We
We're
don't
just
know, but
discussing.
this is allowing us the opportunity.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing, is keeping our options open. I mean, that's why we want an agreement, that's why our
Yeah.
attorney recommended we have an agreement and just, not just a letter. The letter was very vague.
Yeah.
And didn't specify. I'm saying, when we send this agreement to our attorney, we need to highlight these changes and let our attorney see if he has any other changes before it goes back to Casella.
Did they say, that they would pay for negotiations, Casella?
The way they worded the
So-
letter was for legal expenses, including expert consultations. Here, they're qualifying it by saying hired through the attorney. And I don't think we want to have that qualification, that just ties our hands and incurs more costs.
I'm not saying that the legal's gonna be the negotiator, but we need to make sure that we're doing this, going down the right path for this, and
Right, and that's why we wanna, if we hire, you know, if it's whatever consultant it is, whether it's assessor or negotiator or anything, we just wanna be able to hire them directly and have them invoice us, and then we'll ask for reimbursement.
so would it be wise to, talk to, you went to Newport, you talked to them up there, would it be wise to ask them?
He weren't on the board when they agreed on the host agreement.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, yeah?
Not sure.
Oh, what did you say? I just didn't hear.
He wasn't on the board when they did the host agreement.
I think what Tom was saying was, would it be appropriate to ask Newport
Or
about,
Coventry.
about what the,
The negotiating, the negotiation part of it. And who they use, are they professional, are they good at what they do, you know?
They're in the process of looking too.
So, the first step is with this,
So what you're saying is, I'll wait for 2 weeks, and then send it to the lawyer.
and note how we'd like it changed, which is to allow the town to hire consultants directly. So if Jeanette sends that to the attorney for review, she can note those things in her communication to the attorney.
well, because the whole point of the agreement is to make sure that we are protected.
Correct.
Right, I agree, and I guess I misunderstood what you was trying to say. You know, I mean, yeah, we should be, but, yeah.
What is this paper we're talking about here?
It's just reimbursing them in another town for the host agreement.
Negotiations.
Negotiations.
What, of what? That, pertaining to this monies that, Casella was, oh, okay.
Okay, but it needs to be questioned, you know, the legal should question, Casella, that make sure that they're gonna pay for that. That's part of
Right,
that's
it
my
should be
understanding of
worded.
what they were talking about.
It should be worded such that they'll pay for that,
Right.
but not that it has to go through legal to be reimbursed, so.
Okay.
So, I know I'm on the agenda later with comments, but all of my questions really concern this. Do you want me to wait, or should I ask? They might be applicable to sending in as well, if you're okay with that. Okay. My first question would be, what is the time frame for compensation once required documents for legal are sent to Casella?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, dear.
Really quick, I'm sorry to interrupt. Do you have that you can give me what your questions are?
I'll clean them up, cause you've already answered a couple of them,
Okay.
which I appreciate.
Just, then I don't have to feverishly
Yep,
try
I
to
will send them to you.
write it all.
So maybe ask, how do they plan to reimburse? Is it all at once? Is it as you send them in? I'm concerned about that.
As we're sending them in.
Okay,
So it says the company shall reimburse the town, within 30 days of receipt of a request meeting the specifications of paragraph 3, which is what we want to, which is,
Okay.
A summary from legal, but we want to revise that to include from other consultants.
okay. And then, will they retroactively compensate for legal fees already acquired concerning HCA? Like, if, it sounds like you've already sent some of the HCA info in, is that correct, or not yet?
So we did talk to legal about this.
Yeah, I believe.
And I don't know if there, on that invoice, if there was a charge relating to that part of this.
I didn't see it.
I believe that Casella picks up the tab stand right there on that letter.
What's the date stamp on that letter, if you
I
don't
think
mind?
he said, I think it's as of the date of execution of the agreement.
So it would not retroactively cover anything.
So maybe that's something you would ask for then, because right now, the town of Dalton is the one incurring the risk. And because we're doing it as a compensation or reimbursement versus an escrow account, the town of Dalton is really sticking their neck out before we're getting compensated. So maybe the thought of an escrow account would be a better idea, because then that would give you guys more flexibility. Like, if you wanted to move to a negotiator, legal fees, it's just an idea, It might not be a
It's not a bad
bet to
idea.
ask. And then
Yeah.
that comes with a contract. So like what you're doing with under Canvas, you have a contract with an escrow account that then you're able to draw from. And it kind of reduces the paperwork in between, and the paperwork on the board and Jeanette as well. So, let's see.
And actually, you know, you brought up another point that I think when we send this to legal is that we need to change the language about reimbursement as of the effective date of the agreement, because we're incurring costs negotiating this too. So that needs to be changed as well.
And then, in the unfortunate chance that the landfill is not able to move forward and permits are not granted, will Casella still compensate the town of Dalton for legal services and other services already acquired in concern to the host community agreement?
That's why I believe so. I'm not
Okay.
100% on that.
I'm just asking.
But I'm
that's all.
just saying that maybe, well,
Something to check into.
something to check in, but I'm pretty sure that they wasn't there within a 30-day notice of the billing that they would pay the bill in there.
Right. And we can terminate with a,
So it's binding that you would think that they would according to the contract.
Okay, just wanted to make sure that when legal approves whatever letter you send back or contract, that's maybe put in there?
right, I mean, there's nothing about GSL actually coming into place in this agreement to pay for the cost of negotiating a host community agreement. It does say, nothing herein shall obligate either party to enter into the HCA proposal, and either party may terminate this agreement with written notice to the other as provided herein. In the event of termination, neither party shall have further obligation under this agreement, except that company shall remain responsible for reimbursement within the limitations of this agreement through the date that notice of termination is delivered.
Okay.
So we wanna make sure our attorney reviews this. So for example, if we incurred a consultant fee of, I don't know, $10,000 on, I'm just gonna pick dates, you know, December 1st, and Casella terminated this agreement December 2nd, we want to be paid for that cost that was incurred December 1st, even though we wouldn't be invoiced for another 30 days.
Yeah, that would be
So we need
a
to
good follow-up.
have our attorney review it and make sure that paragraph is sufficient to cover that.
Okay, and then just one last thing, and we noticed it last meeting and this meeting with legal, their billing summaries not the best. I think it's really important that we loop the town administrator in and make sure that Jeanette knows what's going on with conversations, so that we don't have this issue moving forward, especially if we're going to be sending that receipts and summaries to Casella. That way, again, we reduce the chance of misinformation or incorrect data being sent to Casella. I think it's really important that we include our town admin, since she'll be recording the minutes and reconciling those bills. I think that's important.
I think with bringing that back up, as you as the chair that found this guy, maybe you should call him and ask him these questions and go down through it with him and say, what's going on here on the billing? This is my thought.
Well, like you
Or
said,
would you like me to do that? On your behalf, Eric?
yeah, sure. Since you know what you wanna ask.
Hmm?
Since you know what you wanna ask.
Yeah, I mean, you were in agreement with what we
Yeah.
were talking about when we went through there, so I can do that.
And like Mandy was bringing up about the reimbursement of like December 1st, December 2nd, and then
Right, the timing, so I
Timing.
think we need to, that's another thing for Jeanette to raise with the attorney with this agreement. I think we've got different issues going on here.
Yeah.
So I think when you send this agreement, let me just recap it to make sure I'm remembering everything. When we send this agreement to legal for review, we want to highlight that in paragraph 2 and paragraph 3, we want to be able to have the town directly hire consultants or experts and bill them and submit that information and bill Casella for that cost without going through legal. And then we also want to make sure that the termination clause will cover for payments for any work done as of the termination date, even if it has not yet been billed. And sometimes there's a 30-day limit for termination. That's a pretty common practice, is to have a 30-day notice period of termination. So I think we should insert that.
Yeah,
Agreement?
yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. And I think it's not directly related to this agreement, it wouldn't go in the agreement, but I think we have to get the agreement of our attorney to bill the costs related to this agreement and to the host community agreement separately from our other bills. If they just do that proactively, it'll just make things easier. Is that, agree? Did I omit anything?
I don't believe so. I'm just looking through my notes here, cleaning them up, because like I said, you guys had already discussed. Would it be, just one other question, would it be helpful for a committee to be formed so that we can help you make those decisions by collecting information? Like maybe looking at the HCA and going through it line by line, maybe coming up with more questions like this to help support you?
not at this time, but
Okay,
I'll think about it.
all right.
I think that's a good suggestion.
Yeah, there's some good business owners in town that would have some really great questions. I think that would help support the board as well.
Put it on a work session so we can talk about that, cause I was thinking about that at one point too, that'd probably be a good
Well, you
idea.
guys have a lot on your plate right now, so
Yeah.
if locals can help
Yeah.
come up with those questions, it certainly just helps everyone.
Yeah.
Cause we may wanna do a lot of preliminary work on that host community agreement, or at least highlight areas that need work before we send it to the attorney. Just try to minimize our legal costs.
If we can put that on the minutes at some point, we can sit down and have a good discussion about that, and I think, go from there.
Can you put it on the agenda sometime?
Yeah.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
You wanna look at that, Tom, or?
What's that? The changes, yeah, I didn't see the changes.
But-
We haven't noted the changes on there, we just
They
verbally
didn't,
talked.
they didn't note anything, he saw this already.
Yeah, I already saw it, just when you make the changes, if you could just send me a copy, I'd appreciate it. Or after it's sent and approved or whatever.
Okay. I'll just copy you on the correspondence to the attorney.
Alright, thank you.
In line with the HCA agreement, just to put it out there, Sansucci did say that if the town wanted him to, he could come and have an informational meeting with the residents so that the residents could understand what the host community agreement means. A lot of time, he basically saying a lot of times that stuff is written with a lot of legal terminology that most people don't understand. So he was saying that he works for the town, so if the town wanted him to come and do a public information type meeting on the host community agreement so that people understood exactly what things mean in it, that he would be willing to do that.
Go to public comment, or is there something else?
No. Talk about that. We did not talk about the auction. So oh gosh, that's way up there. Sorry, I missed that. The auction has been scheduled for December 7th for the one property on Dalton Road. It was brought to the auctioneer's attention that an interested bidder noticed that the doors of the home were unlocked, possibly kicked in, and we may want to have it boarded up or change the locks or do something to make sure that it's secure. When he took photos of the property, it obviously looked abandoned, but the door wasn't open. So his website does state that bidders are forbidden from entering any structures, but he just wanted to suggest that for our own security purposes that we may want to install new locks or have the door boarded up or something of that nature.
Where is this property?
The trailer, up there on the top of the hill, just before the store on the left.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So I don't know if that's something that we want to do or just say,
I don't think the trailer's worth much anyway, is it?
I don't think,
Has anybody looked, see if they
I don't-
trashed it or anything?
I don't think that's really the concern. I think the concern is,
That we don't want a bidder going in there.
Yeah,
There might be a liability issue, cause
yeah,
we're,
and we really should have no trespassing signs there as well.
What's
I
the
think
acreage
about-
of that?
Jamaica, just over there.
I make a motion that we make sure the building is secure. Whether that be boarding up the door or
And then-
changing the locks,
and
and
then
that we post no trespassing signs.
I'll second it.
Will the highway department take care of that for us?
I'll ask.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I mean, didn't have to worry about in the past, but I think, and maybe perhaps it's because of this property in particular is maybe you know, being targeted at them.
Anything else?
No, but we do have non-public.
Yeah, I knew that, that's why I was trying to hurry.
I just wanted to mention that there have been some changes in the right to know law. So I sent out the PowerPoint from the presentation yesterday. I don't, did either of you participate in that?
I haven't looked at it yet, no.
Okay. And there was also a guide municipality, so at some point we need to decide if we want to change our policy. But we don't have to do it tonight, I just want to,
You said you sent that to me?
yes,
I'll look it over.
yeah. So we should discuss it at a future meeting.
Yeah.
Public comments?
How come this meeting wasn't posted?
Was posted.
On the, I looked at 3 o'clock, at 3:30 today, I looked at my calendar, and on the calendar of Dalton, and it wasn't posted.
It's been there.
It wasn't there.
I'm
You
sorry.
can say it was,
I'm sorry,
I'm saying
Mike.
it wasn't.
It's been there since Tuesday when I realized that the meeting was Thursday and not Wednesday. It was
Well,
changed
it
on
wasn't there,
Tuesday.
on my computer, at 3:30, it wasn't posted.
Today?
I'm going to just check, 'cause I
It's there. I added the agenda to it today, to the posting today.
Well, you can say what you want, I'm telling you, it wasn't posted.
So sometimes if you have a website you looked at before, you need to refresh the page, or it will pull up what you saw like 2 weeks ago. So there's a little, circle with an arrow, you can click on that and refresh the page, and
Oh.
that'll make sure that it updates it.
Okay, I'll check that.
Yeah.
I'm computer illiterate.
Well, that's why I'm just mentioning that, cause I know that's happened to me with other sites before, is, I have to refresh it in order to get the updated version.
Okay, I'll check on it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I do have one thing to add. Sorry, going back to new business. The Community Power Coalition of New Hampshire public hearings have been scheduled for Dalton. The first one is November 25th at 6 p.m. before our select board meeting. And the second one is on December 9th at 6 p.m. before our select board meeting. And this is to go over Dalton's Community Power Coalition membership and
November what?
November 25th, Monday before Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
And to talk about our membership in that coalition to help our community reduce their electricity rates.
And, I'm sorry, November 25th and December what?
9th,
And what time?
6 p.m.
On both nights?
Yes,
And do those have to be published in the paper?
they are being published in the paper. They're on the website. I'm also gonna print it out and publish it, put it over at the Dalton, the country store.
And will the people from that organization come to?
They will be here. They will be here, they will present, they will assist.
And
What are the times on that again?
6 p.m.
That's on the 25th.
both days.
Both days.
Both days,
And the
okay.
And the committee did meet a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
So Kathy, Jeanette, myself, and Gall, to proceed with doing the paperwork, the templates and things like that we have to, so we'll have those at a future meeting.
Yep.
And, even though they came and presented to us a few weeks ago, we didn't post it as a public meeting, so it doesn't count as one of the public as a public hearing. So we need to have the 2 public hearings before it can go on the warrant. Did I miss anything?
Nope, I think that was about it.
I just looked at the calendar and it is on the calendar when I just pulled it up. So I think you just needed to refresh your
Okay,
calendar.
it's probably my fault that I didn't understand how to work that thing.
No, it's good
I
that you bring it up so
apologize.
we can explain it.
Anybody else comment? I make a motion to go into non-public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
For
Aye.